To start it all off will be the illustrious chairman, Gilad Shainer, presenting what activities that the HPC Advisory Council is currently working on, some of the things we've done in the past, and what we're going to be doing in 2012. So with that, Gilad Shainer.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. One thing, comment from yesterday. Richie, you're recording from here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you want your voice to be nicely recorded with the presentation, instead of standing here, right? Yeah. It's better to stand here next to the mic.
Distance matters.
Distance matters, exactly. So Matt, you're after me, right? And DK Panda, you're next, I think. So this kind of advice if you want to be recorded nicely. So I'm going to take the next pretty much 10 minutes and just give you an overview of what the council is doing, what we were focusing this year and what we plan to do next year. And if there is any interest here to join the activities or to join the councils or contribute time for helping us to deliver or do HPC outreach as much as possible, then we are we'll be very happy to take any kind of help. Let's see if it works. It works. So the council at the moment includes more than 290 member organizations. I think 295 to be exact. And the main mission is we'll start with the main mission of doing HPC outreach. Moving or bringing the HPC capabilities to more users and enhance the usage of HPC by users that already start to use HPC. Doing best practices and guides and providing support. And recently or last year we start to look into extending what we do and create some special interest groups that we looked into further doing what the council is doing, but also looking maybe into creating specifications and some other elements. Few groups have been already started to do some work. One of them is HPC GPU that will be renamed to HPC Acceleration. That group is being chartered by a couple of folks from the Swiss Supercomputing Center, looking into creating some interfaces or better interfaces for accelerators. We created HPC storage, look into cluster file system, as well as the HPC Cloud and HPC FSI, which are pretty much something new that we started, and we're also going to look to do something around big data. So those will be special interest group that will be dedicated for those areas. Taking all the logos of all the council members and putting them on one slide. So there are 295, I think, logos here. It's a nice mix of multiple vendors, end users around the world, and memberships is free, so everyone can join or leave whenever they want. All the activities of the council are pretty much done by a contribution from the members. So either people putting time or vendors contributing sponsorship, for example, to the conference that we're doing and so forth. We also started to work from multiple places. So there are two, beside of the headquarters in the US, there is also two other centers of excellence that are doing more of the regional work. One of them is in Switzerland, which is the Swiss Supercomputing Center. So there are a few folks that we're working on. They're in charge for the conference in Switzerland, as well as doing a lot of activities within Switzerland and the nearby countries. We're doing one in China right now and establishing a center in China as well to do some of the outreach activities in China. There are, I didn't count, but I think there's like between 10 and 15 people on the council board. People who volunteer their time. So, I'm there, Brian is there. Few people is coming from different or several member companies or organizations. Folks coming from Schlumberger and AMD and Dell, Oak Ridge National Lab, Swiss Supercomputing Center, CDAC in China, in India, sorry, and other folks and other places working together to drive all the activities that we're doing from the council. And I thank each one of those guys for their great work. We also built a compute center, which is being used for two main things. One of them is for all the best practices and guides that we create from the council. So we run those on top of the compute clusters that we operate, and then create the publication that we post on the website. As well as those resources are being offered or used by anyone else who needs compute resources and don't have an access to a system. We have a university award program where universities can submit proposals for research that they want to do, and then we pick the one or two and give them a dedicated time on a system to complete their research. As well for anyone who wants short access time to systems to do testing, evaluation, optimizations, and things of that sort. That cluster provided a free access to that system for that work. All the systems are pretty much contribution by members of the council. And again, we thank all the companies who provide those systems. Systems are not huge, but decent size of decent small or mid-size, a few hundreds of cores, covering both Intel CPUs and AMD CPUs, and they're already Magni-Cores systems, as well as GPU and centralized cluster file system as well. I think I've touched on the special interest subgroups. The first group that started is the HPC Works, which is the third on the left, which does all the best practices work and the recipes and things of that sort. The one around GPUs and accelerators had a kickoff meeting at supercomputing, so that started to move very nicely. And the rest are pretty much newly kind of created, and we're going to start putting folks there that wants to contribute to that subgroups and move forward from there. Few publications that were done on best practices, which explain how to take the code, from where to take the code, how to compile, how to run, what are the critical elements that are needed, and that's on the website, and folks who want to start can use those best practices, which gives them all the information from where to take what and how to install everything, as well as different applications that deals with the influence of different MPIs and CPUs and BIOS and other elements, which are also posted on the website. HPC Training is another thing that we started this year, where we collected as much as training information that exists from our members, and we continue to add more and more information around those items. All of the publications are on the website, and folks who want to get more training on CPU, GPUs, clustering, interconnect, storage can go there and find a lot of information that we get from our members. If you go there and see there is something missing that you're aware of, you're more than welcome to send it to us so we can post it for the behalf of other people. Forums, another element that exists for people to ask questions and to interact with other people, so anything that matters. University Award Program, I think we gave this year the third award already. That's the program that I mentioned before, helping folks doing research where they don't have access to compute systems. So they submit proposals. We pick the ones that looks most, more interesting, and those guys get a dedicated time on the system for, I think, 6 or 12 months to complete the study. As well, we invite them to our workshops to present what they did and the results. Another thing that we did, I think, for the second year is to support the supercomputing studio cluster competition by providing them hardware capabilities to go and compete at supercomputing. This year we supported the folks from Costa Rica as well as the University of Colorado. So that's another thing to help with students or to bring students to the world of HPC. taking something similar from supercomputing for the student cluster competition. We are the ones who's going to do the competition or manage the competition, the student cluster competition in Germany as part of the International Supercomputing Conference. Right now there are 5 universities that will compete there, 2 from the US, 1 from Germany, and 2 from China. So it's kind of a similar concept to what exists in supercomputing, with a little bit different, in a sense that we don't want the student just to do 24 hours a day, or not to compete 24 hours a day, but also take advantage of what Germany can offer and go do some sightseeing and enjoy the beer from Germany as well as part of the competition. Yeah. So that's something that we bring to Europe and Germany, and I think from our side it is important to get more students to be involved with as much as HPC activities as possible. I think this is the last slide. So 2011 we did 5 workshops, right? I think that's the last one this year. And then next year we do plan to do 6. We got requests for 2 more, but 6 are already planned. There's going to be 1 in Israel for 1 day in February, 3 days in Switzerland with the Swiss Supercomputing Center, 1 day in Germany, 1 day in Spain together with the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, 1 day in China as part of HPC China, and we plan to be here next year as well and to do 2 days of the Stanford HPC conference. Rich, I think, joined us most of the workshop last year, and I think he plans to join us most of the workshop next year as well. So it's a nice tour around the world. If you want to join us in that workshops, it's going to give you a very nice view of different countries around the world. So it's for us, it's very interesting because we learn more things from different regions. But it's also important for us to go and provide the message and capabilities and knowledge to more places around the world. So that's the overview that I wanted to give you what the council is doing and what we're gonna plan to do this year or going to next year. We're gonna try to drive more activities. So folks that are on the council, you're going to start seeing more activities and more interactions between the council and the members. Folks who are not on the council and want to join the council, you are very, it's free, and we will be happy to have as many members on the council because it helps us to drive things and help us to get more feedback on what we do. Joining is simple by going to the HPC Council website, and there is a simple form that you fill which gives the contact information. If you want to do it here, there is some forms on one of the tables on the next room, so you can fill your name and address, and we'll add you to the council. So with that, if there are any questions, I can answer. If not, I think we're on time right now, right? Bingo, almost.